Hey, good morning, everybody. This is kind of cool for me. I've never used this platform. I also got to make sure I keep my face in the screen. Hopefully, when we get going here, we'll share the material that we have. I want to do every webinar. They say, "Can you hear me now?" So please, I think I've unmuted everybody, or muted everybody. Can somebody just type in the chat box if you can hear me? What if I unmute everybody? Everybody out there? I muted everybody. Perfect. All right. Thank you, Heidi. All right, I'll mute everybody because, like, you guys are probably like hanging out at Starbucks or do whatever you guys do. So I'm one of these people. I want to start on time, end on time. I don't know that it's going to take an hour and a half. This is a new platform for me. I've never used this. I have some right now. Anybody that joins, I have to admit them. I'll figure this out for the next one. The next time being, this is how we're going to do our meetings. I'll kind of keep my eye out on the chat box. As we go along, if people have questions, please pop stuff up. This is what I consider best practices. If you guys have something that you want to add to it, please type into it. But I want to make sure everybody's on the same page. So let's get this thing started here. So I'm going to go to, let's see here. That's the wrong way. Is view full screen. Perfect. Okay, so first thing we need to do is our cover sheet. And if you guys don't know how to, or not doing this, this is going to save you a lot of time and aggravation. I know there's some of our newer agents there. And we'd start with here. And throughout here, I've just made notes to do that. Someone needs to be muted. Okay, cool. Let's see here if I can figure this out. Manage participants. Mute. It was mute. Sorry. Okay, cool. All right. We all be squared away. First thing right here, fill this out best you can. You should have all this information. I would also upload this to Paperless Pipeline. And this is kind of what everything's based off. It's also got list of required items. And I know sometimes in the heat of the battle, we think we have everything, but a checklist is pretty cool. It's pretty self-explanatory. The new listing checklists. Let's see. Okay. Information input to Keystone. Check your photographer. Activated. Upload disclosure. Upload a Paperless Pipeline, blast out the new listings, add a peak performer, update listings and photos. Just because we put it out in Bright, it does feed out to Realtor and Zillow, but sometimes there's information that you can go out there and change and tweak or move some pictures around on these third-party sites. Sometimes be careful though, because Bright, I think, feeds 4 times a day to Zillow. So if you do a whole bunch of changes, they may or may not take or continue to stay in Zillow. What you need for your ratified contract. So if anybody still does paper that keeps your folders, and put one of these in your front of your folder so you can kind of keep everything on track. Affiliate business disclosures, HOA docs, home inspections. I have all of this. I pulled it up in Google Drive. If anybody wants a copy of this, I'll be glad to send you a link. It's too big to email. I think maybe what we'll do is, I'm trying to record these. We'll have a depository or somewhere out on the internet where we can keep these videos. All right, exclusive right to sell listing. This is, I think, the best way that we can do this. I throw the whole page up there. Hope everybody can see. I don't know what your mobile devices look like that, but I think if we do it small, I'll be scrolling everything. So I was taught if it's a box, fill it out. So obviously insert your firm name, United Real Estate Premier. Truly on listings and deeds, the street address doesn't count. That's from my old pre-licensing day, but that's what we use. Get all the information you can from the tax record. The more that you have, the better off we are. Same thing with a lot block subdivision. Put everything that you can in there. You should be able, if you're going on a listing appointment and you have these pre-printed, you should have all this stuff ready to go. That's part of your homework, trying to figure out what what it is. If you go old school and have a folder, just do the best you can. But when we get them all signed, get everything right. Sometimes, and I haven't seen anything around here with the exception of land that you actually have a meets and bounds survey, which is, if you get in a situation like that, just give us a buzz, we'll help you. The MLS description, same thing, number levels, basements, entrance type. If it's a box, fill it out. Notices, make sure we get all this correct. Okay, so all notifications and amendments under this agreement shall be in writing, shall be delivered. You think it's kind of foolish that we have to put in broker information, but this document is also for your client, so they need to know how to get in touch with you. Terms of agreement. I always say, let's go back and look how many days of the market your neighborhood's selling. So let's say the average days in the market is 60, and they want to do a 30-day listing agreement. That just kind of doesn't make sense. I would do 90 days, whatever you think it is. I don't want to sell yourself short, because then you have to pay all the money, get everything up and going, and then the listing time has expired. But check the days on the market for your average listing time in your neighborhood that you're doing. Listing price, fill in the blank. Have I seen stuff with no listing price? Yeah, I don't sign them. Conveyances. Check the box. Check yes, check no. Let's be real clear on this stuff. If more than one item, put in there. So if they're ceiling fans, put in 6. I got to tell you, all this stuff is going to help you when you go to put your listing agreement into Bright. The more information you have, the easier it's going to be. If this is something that you do when you walk through the house or whatever like that, do it and get everything right. As is items, sometimes people will have stuff as is, like it's a hot tub or things like that too. Fill this out as is. All right, as is marketing. Check the box, does or does not. When short sales first started, everybody was putting as is, and then the consensus was that if we're saying as is, it would almost give up our financial position, that we don't have any money to do any repairs. And so there was a big mess over top of that. So that's why we end up as is marketing. Okay, leased items, systems, or service contracts, all that stuff is personal property. So they can't convey. So they have gas, propane, or like pest control, termite, stuff like that. That doesn't convey. Now you may be able to take it over, but we just want to make sure that we acknowledge it and fill this out. Homeowner warranty, please do not put to be determined. Because, for example, HSA and several other ones, they have listing coverage. So if you're going to use one, put it in there. Also, cost not to exceed, do not put to be determined either. Know your contract. I would say in my contract or my listing presentation, I would have a copy of the home warranty. There's several of them that are in the lobby out front. If you need a PDF, we can certainly get them from you too. Utilities. All right, I'm going to jump down into sewage disposal. This is a huge problem, and let me explain why. So I want to talk about bedrooms. And sleeping rooms. I'm going to call sleeping rooms where they actually have beds and how you can have people in there, and then bedrooms according to the county. So when the land is perked, they figure out how many gallons the soil work can actually pertain, and they give a health permit based on the number of bedrooms. So I know in Lake Wilderness, there is a split foyer out there that when it was built, it was perked for 2 bedrooms. So what does everybody do? They buy a split foyer, then they finish off the basement and put 4 bedrooms. They have 4 sleeping rooms with a 2-bedroom perk. So you can imagine what happens when you have 8 people, because they kind of figure out the number of bedrooms, so 2 people per bedroom, that 8 people start using something that's designed for 4, everything backs up. As real estate agents, we're going to say, well, the people told me it's got 4 bedrooms. I saw 4 bedrooms. I'm going to say it is best practice for them to get, or even you, to get a copy of your health permit. Because right here, it says septic approved for number of bedrooms. Over the years, a bedroom could be added. But so what happens, you sell this house, it's got 4 sleeping rooms and 2-bedroom perks. Somebody buys it. You can imagine the lawsuit that's going to happen. Okay. That is the absolute best practice. Same thing with air conditioned heating. Make sure you get the things right, because let's say, for example, this might have a heat pump and the contract comes over and says oil heat, and everybody ratifies it. The seller now has to put in oil heat. I mean, you think it's something, oh, it's a simple mistake. It might be a $5,000 mistake, but usually real estate agents end up paying this. Okay. I've never seen personally a contract that has a waiver from the septic system. I do understand what they are. So let's say if they've got a bad or failed system, sometimes they'll let you do a pump and haul, where you literally have a big container and the effluent goes in there and then you're able to haul it out, but you get a waiver. Problem with a waiver is they're not transferable. So you will not, that house, something will have to happen with that sewage disposal on that. That's, I mean, people will know that because they'll know that the county's been out there, the health department, things like that too. But make sure that's right. All right, the section 9 is what we're supposed to do. I've highlighted stuff and it's just not coming out very well. It says that the broker shall exercise ordinary care, comply with all applicable laws and regulations, and treat all parties honestly. On A, it says that the broker is bound by the bylaws, policy, and procedures and rules and regulations governing MLS Service Code of Ethics and the Code of Virginia. This is a big deal when you start doing Coming Soon, because all that stuff's changed. There, a lot of people would just go out and put it in Zillow and not put it in Bright. Well, it's a $5,000 fine. So make sure you know the rules of Bright. Yeah, Bright's not gonna take you to jail, but they could terminate your membership. Then how in the world would you list properties or even see properties? So it's important that you understand that stuff too. A lot of times we just skim over this stuff and just put stuff in the boxes, but don't pay attention to all this. But it's important. B, it says that this gives us the right to do this stuff, to use reasonable efforts and act diligently to seek buyers for property at price and terms stated herein or otherwise acceptable. C, shall market the property at broker's discretion. Okay, so that we really have the choice of where we're going to do it. But if somebody wants you to put it in military by owner, that might be the best thing to do it. Okay. And then on C, brokers shall not be obligated to continue market property after the seller's accepted offer. For those of us that did it back in the day, when we had to buy freelance star ads and they were $80 a pop, you know, people would still want us to buy those ads after it was under contract and keep spending $80. On the internet, it's not so costly, but we don't have to do that. D, it says brokers shall present all offers or all written offers or counter offers. National Association Realtor says all offers. Does that mean a verbal offer? Yep. You have a $300,000 house and somebody offers you $250,000 and that's it. Do you need to present it? You sure do. You sure do. Now, state of Virginia says all of our offers must be written to be valid. Yeah, okay. But if somebody gives you a verbal offer, you've got to do it. Do I think it's best practice? No. But we have to present them. E, Brokers shall not continue to market property or permit showings after it's subject to a ratified contract unless otherwise instructed by seller in writing. Listen, I know we love text and Snapchat and Facebook and stuff like that. Get an email from somebody that says, yep, please continue to show the property. F, broker shall account in a timely manner for all money and property received in trust by broker. We don't hold EMD, but get it to where it belongs. So if you have it and we have a deposit with Envoy or whoever else, get it to where it belongs. G, broker shall show property during reasonable hours. I don't know if 3 in the morning is reasonable, but there we go. And then in most of these contracts, you'll see anything bold and italics that you got to really pay attention. It says broker agrees that showing instructions to be shared with the MLS or other real estate license are as follows. Fill it out. Showing time, 2-hour notice, go and show vacant. Put that information in there. If you want to put a lockbox on it, why would you not? Check the box. Maybe it's in an area. I don't know that you would need a combination lockbox, but put it in there. And then for sale, signs on the property. I have seen people that do not want signs on their property because they don't want the neighbors to know what's going on. In the day of the internet, everybody knows what's going on, but check the box. All right, this MLS advertising. So this is my opinion, and this is what I think the best thing is to do because we can't control the internet. It says the seller authorized or does not authorize to market the property in multiple listing service. Okay, I don't know why any buyer would or any seller would not want it to be MLS, unless maybe it's going to be they already have the buyer and you're just going to facilitate it, but do that. In here it says 3 business days or on or before. If you need to do pictures and get stuff together, you can put it on or before. Make sure you check the box. Does not allow to put the property in MLS. All right, right here, these 2 right here, B and C. I think it's best practice to authorize it. Okay, when you guys put the listings in through Keystone, there's a box to check it. But who's to say that somebody that would get a blog and want to write out about your listing on 123 Main Street? You can control it on the back side. We can flip the box, but we can't guarantee it. But I also understand that people may not want remarks about their house. Man, don't go in there. It's got cat smell or dog smell or things like that. And if they're adamant about it, check the box. But tell them we can't control the internet. That's the unlisted comments and Zestimates. Everybody out there loves Zillow, so they're going to want to see Zestimates. And Zillow's got their own Zestimate, and it's not even listed. Same thing coming soon. Coming soon is a big deal now. Like I said, the stuff has just changed. It's $5,000 fine if you mess it up. Make sure you do that. Make sure you abide by the rules. If you can't have showings, don't have showings. 21 days. See, they try to mirror our forms, the NVAR forms, with Bright. So sometimes Bright will change the rules and they'll try to mirror these forms to go with it. It says during the term of this agreement, seller may by written notice to broker authorize to enable or disable these features. As soon as they tell you to do it, do it. All right. Goes into seller representation, buyer representation, and designated representation. It's going to be in everything. We should know it. We should be able to spit it out back and forth. Most consumers have no clue what to do. All right, my opinion, we need to do designated because it says seller consents, designated representative allows a property to be shown to a buyer presented by this broker through another designated broker within the firm. If you don't check that box and I have a listing, you can't show it. There's no need to talk about our sales meeting, no need to talk about our Facebook group because they're not going to allow to do that. So my best recommendation is allow designated. Now dual. I know we don't do dual, but I'm going to tell you, I think you should check the box. The reason is if I have an open house and I have a client come through there, I can't show it. Doesn't mean that we're going to do dual representation, but it has to do with showing. It says seller consents to dual representation, allows a property to be shown by a buyer represented by this broker through the same sales associate. Open house, they walk through their customers and not clients. If you're not going to do open houses, or you know that if somebody comes into the open house that you're not going to represent them, you're okay. I would just recommend or have a conversation with that. Like I said, I know we don't do doing duals the fastest way to lose your license, but if you have a client already and they want to see this house, you can't show it to them. But it doesn't mean that, you know, we can't do designated or buyer seller agency later. Broker compensation. See that number 6? Know your value. Know your worth. I know we get to we have very good, generous commission splits, but know your value. Put the numbers in. I always like to say 30 days. And a lot of people don't understand this line right here. It says 30 days after the expiration or termination of this agreement, a contract is ratified with a ready, willing, and able buyer who had been shown during the terms of the agreement, we get paid. With the exception if it's been listed to someone else. So we've had this property, and we list it, and somebody's come and shown it, and we've got verification from the lockbox, and day 5 after it expires, they come and write an offer on it. We're entitled to compensation. But if it gets listed with another firm, we're out. Cooperating broker. This is where we share the wealth. And I'll be glad to do a commission protection class. But what I always say is, I always offer 3% to the other side. There are some unscrupulous agents that won't show properties that if they don't have 3% commission, we want your house to be sold. That's what you want, Mr. Seller. So let's do 3%. Variable rate, I haven't seen that much at all. That would be if I sell it, I'm only going to get 2%, things like that, and that's also disclosed in Bright too. Retainer fee, typically that's 0, and I write the word 0 out there. Now, the reasons why you might have a retainer fee, maybe they want signs out on their dock, or maybe they want you to do some pre-marketing stuff, or maybe they want you to help get the house ready. That's where you would put a retainer fee. I've never seen anybody use it. Best practice is 0. All right, early termination fee. I'm okay with this. I think you guys should put something in there. For, let's say we list it for 90 days and they decide to, or the job transfer doesn't come in, or they decide not to be in the market anymore and they want out. I think you should be compensated for your pictures, your postcards, and things like that. I don't think you can get all of your money, you know, if you put 20 hours into it, but I think you ought to put, you know, $500 or whatever your fees are, so you can be covered. I would also point out too, on 13, confidential information, it says the broker shall maintain the confidentiality of all personal and financial information, because we're going to know that. We're going to know some information of how they can what they need to do, money, funds, things like that. That tells us to keep it confidential. Same thing, authorization to disclose other offers. How many times have we called up in a market, you know, it's multiple offers, and you say, hey, do you have any other offers? It says, in response to inquiries from buyers or cooperating brokers, broker may not disclose without seller's authorization the existence of other written offers on property, period. That's a complete sentence. If seller does not give authorization, seller acknowledges that the broker and sales associate may disclose whether obtained by a listing agent, another member of the firm, or a cooperating broker. I'm of the opinion is, especially in this market, we want to get chum in the water. Yep, we have a very strong offer. Tell them something, but don't give them the details of it. To maybe we can get a higher price or better terms for your client. Compliance with fair housing. Relocation program, check the box. They will know if they're in the relocation program or not. Who who the information is. Condominium association, fill it out if you have one. Not a whole lot of condos down here in Fredericksburg. There's a few. Property owners association, is or is not. Seller or broker shall order the disclosure information at seller's expense. That's up to you. If you want to do it, check the box. If they want to do it, check the box. At the time of listing, within 3 days, file contract ratification. I'm of the opinion, let's get it done now. Reason is I want to take that defense away, get it to them as soon as you can. But if it's going to be a longer marketing period, that's up to you, but just understand what the information. Get all the information that you possibly can. Property owner's information, management company phone number, everything like that that you can get. They've got a bill there somewhere, or their house, they've been paying it. Just get the information. Property condition, you've got the Residential Property Owners Act. If it is or isn't exempt. Lead-based paint. I've got all the addendums in the back side of this thing, but make sure they check the box. I always say on or before 78. It does say constructed before 78, and the reason why I say on or before, I'm pretty much sure everything has been painted over once since 78. But the idea being is that maybe they had paint, they made the paint, they built a house in 74 and they had leftover paint and they used it after the fact. On or before is best practice, fill it out. Liens, fill out all this information. For those that hung around back when we had short sales, we get to go to closing and they go, oh yeah, I got a second, but I forgot all about it. Then it doesn't go to closing. Get all that information that you can, approximate balance. We don't know need to know to the penny, but just get your approximate balance on there. Seller financing. The only time I can think of seller financing would happen is either maybe if they already know they're going to sell to a family member, or if it's an assumable VA loan. But rates are so low, I can't imagine anybody assuming rates. Rates go up to 12, 13%. Somebody's got a 4%. They might consider seller financing. Closing costs, folks, please do the seller estimated cost of settlement. It used to be a sheet in zip forms. Now it's in Bright. You got to get the money right. I mean, people say, I got a $100,000 house. I only owe 40 on it. I'm going to make 60. That's not right. Let them know some scenarios. Sit down and get the money right, especially if they need money to go to the next house or things like that. You are doing your clients an absolute disservice if you don't do the estimated sales costs. Also talks about the Wet Settlement Act and FERPTA here. You have to ask the question, or you're not considered a foreign person. Seller's duties. Here, this is what they're going to do. That they have the right to convey, the capacity to convey good marketable title to the property by general warranty deed. Hey, listen, sometimes we had stuff by special warranty deed. They're saying general warranty deed. I don't think anybody knows what their deed is, but if you look at the sales contract, the sales contract says that you will have a general warranty deed, not a special warranty deed or a sheriff's deed or anything else like that. Number 2 is not a party to a listing agreement with another broker. No entity has the right to purchase, lease, or acquire property. If they're a real estate agent, about oil tanks, if they have a tenant in there, and the recording system. This, I believe, includes ring doorbells and things like that. We're seeing more and more of this now with security and things like that. Access to property, they got to give us keys. All right, how many times have we had tenants in there and they are hostile tenants? I wish in our listing agreements or our leases that would say that the house is to be shown. We'll contact the tenant and use best efforts to obtain full cooperation of current tenants. If they say no showings, that is a issue between the landlord and the tenant. That is not us. We don't represent the tenant or the landlord in that transaction, so we don't have the authority to get in the middle of it. Is it going to hinder us showing that property? Absolutely. And maybe we don't put it on the market till they leave, but that is a landlord-tenant issue. Most of the time, we can work it out. They want a 24-hour notice or 4-hour notice. They got dogs or pets or whatever, and they'll usually be accommodating. But just understand that we don't represent them in that portion of the transaction. Assumption risk, hey, it's yours until we transfer it. Let's see here. Appropriate professional advice. This is my favorite thing. We need to stay in our square. Unless you're a mold inspector, you don't call it mold. Unless you're an attorney, you don't give advice on attorney things. Stay in your square. We're real estate professionals. Although we have a considerable knowledge about different ones of these things, we are not anything else but a real estate, unless you are a contractor. Okay. Says right here, it says maybe refer service providers to assist sellers in transactions. It's not as endorsement or guarantee. That's why it's always best practice to give people 2 or 3 choices. Here's 2 or 3 lenders. Here's 2 or 3 home warranty companies. Things like that. Wire fraud. It talks about be aware of that. I mean, I would actually spend some time with this with your clients so they understand that this is not about your house is $300,000. We're going to list it and how much money I'm going to make. This is all very, very important. D, offers after contract acceptance. After sales contract has been ratified on a proper, broker recommends the seller obtain advice of legal counsel prior to acceptance of any subsequent offer. We're also covered if they send the second offer over by the clauses and contingencies. There's that box that says it's a backup offer. That is okay. But if you just send another offer and they sign it, they got to sell their house to 2 different people. They're going to need an attorney. Folks, if you need help, lean into myself, lean into Steve. If you have a real estate attorney that you use, lean into them. We got to get this, make sure this is right. This is a binding agreement. And so if this contract is ratified, okay, and the seller dies, it survives the death. I'm sorry, let me take that back. That's a contract. This is a listing agreement. If the listing, if somebody dies, this does not survive. Attorney fees, if you need an attorney, get one. Additional terms. I always say, please be careful when you start writing stuff out, but this is where you're going to put the $495, XYZ conveys, no showing on Sundays, whatever. The broker signs these. So it's agreement between the brokerage and the seller, and you are a sub-agent of the broker. Okay, so make sure that we sign this. You don't sign it. Sales association, fill out all the information. The broker, fill out all the information. You put my number, put Steve's number down. Doesn't matter. That way, if they have a problem, we want to be able to make sure that we can get that to you. Does anybody have any questions? I see no chat, so this is kind of like the first time I'm doing this. I think I've got this thing mastered, or everybody's out watching Oprah eating bonbons. Somebody give me some feedback so I don't know that I'm talking out to the world. Bueller? Okay, cool. All right. All right, this is the DPR property disclosure. This is what everybody's got to fill out too. You put the address or the legal description on this. Owner needs to sign this. This is something that you do, that you've got to do at the listing. Also, I would put this in 2 places. If you have a folder or a brochure in the listing, put it in there, and also put up in documents. Make it as easy to sell your home. Just for a buying point of view, do not fill out the bottom of this and have it signed before the other side signs it, because they're agreeing to a disclosure that they don't even know. This is another CYA form. Even though it doesn't require initials, I always put it in there. I just want them to have this, so we had some conversation about it. This is 3 pages, same thing, just put the plus sign, put some initials on it. Same thing with useful information. This actually does require a signature, where they received it. I'm not gonna go through all this stuff right here, but they sign it as they've had it too. All this stuff is it's really important when something blows up. And you need to be able to understand and read these forms, learn to read them upside down because you have to explain them. I know it's a lot, but take a paragraph a day or 2 days and become masters of this thing. And yes, of course, once we do once we master it, they change it. Say Heidi's got a question here. There's a lot of noise. All right, let me see if I can mute everybody. I don't know who's here. Management participants. Mute. Mute. I think everybody's muted. Hey, what you got? Oh, you're good now. All right. Sorry. Got to learn to like look at this chat box and do all this other stuff. So anyway, right here, protect your family from lead. You've got to give them that document. It's available. I think it's in our paperless pipeline. You can download it from the EPA site, but make sure they have a copy of that. Back in the day when it was just paper, I would get them initial the front page and have them throw that in my file too. All right, this disclosure. Do not fill out the boxes for them. Explain to them what them are and let them check the boxes. Typically, the answer is seller has no knowledge of lead-based paint, and typically the seller has no reports. But if they do, they're the ones that need to check the boxes. This is one of the only forms that you actually get to initial right here, and you sign down here. Same thing, and put this in the file folder at the listing brochure, and also put it up in documents on Bright. This is something that you definitely want to get them to sign ahead of time. Same thing too is if you're purchasing a house, do not fill this out because you don't know what the disclosures are. The last time I heard you fill it out for them, do it wrong, it's $11,000 fine. So make sure we do that right. Listing amendment. So if we need to change something, this is how we do it. Date, MLS number, to our broker code, whatever it is. If you guys are using zip forms, all this will flow through. Check the box. Change the terms of the agreement. The listing price is going to be this, or extend expiration. Reinstate it from temporary off, or other changes. Maybe you want to add a washer and dryer, or maybe you want to do whatever you want to do. Showings on Sunday now. Temporary off, check the box. Seller, broker's got to sign it. Once again, this is a not you thing. Okay. The affiliate business disclosure, we're gonna need to sign that too, and just your client sign it, and you sign it here too. Okay. This is in paperless. If you need to get a copy of it, do it at the time of listing. Because it's the day before you get paid and we do that and the date's wrong and it blows back on you, they might have a say is, you know what, I didn't know this. They didn't tell me this. Get all this done. This is all covered in your first page checklist. All right, seller's estimated net sheet. I just pulled this up from Bright. I just grabbed a property and made some numbers. I don't know that I like this as much as the old one. The old one, what I liked, it had 3 columns, so we sold it at 350, 325, 310. But do this. If you haven't done it before, go out and play with it. I will find a static one, like a Excel sheet that we could run some stuff in it. This particular one pulled the information from the tax record and things like that. Get them to sign it so they can have some idea what they need to bring to the table. You know, it's like I said, they get to the end of it, they think they're going to make $10,000 and they, oh yeah, I forgot commission and closing costs and whatever else, that's going to be a world of hurt. So we need to make the money right. So that being said, that is all I have. I'm going to go to the front thing. Gosh, this is kind of weird without any questions to go this fast. Let me see here. Go back to the front. So what we'll do is we'll unmute everybody. Let's see if we can do this. Unmute. You guys can see this.
Because Lyme disease.
All right, everybody should be able to talk. Anybody got any questions?
Power in this one little NexGard chew. NexGard, what one little chew can do.
Hi, yeah,
Anybody?
the reason one serum is sold
You guys are experts.
hyaluronic acid serum with our highest concentration of hyaluronic acid, visibly replump skin, and
Everybody
reduces
thinks coffee, not paying attention.
hyaluronic acid serum from L'Oreal.
I didn't have to shout out for help.
So this is kind of the platform that we're going to use from now on. I don't know if we'll be able to do the sales meetings the same way too, but I appreciate y'all's time. And if you have any questions, I will put this up in Google Drive so that way you can have it. And I appreciate y'all showing up. Thank you.
On serious and rare cases, it may increase your risk of bleeding if you take certain medicine and away from expected bleeding.